Daniel Harper didn't look like a killer. That sounds irrelevant, but in courtrooms, appearances quietly matter. The murder shocked the town. A respected local businessman was found dead late at night. No robbery, no obvious motive, just violence. The kind of case that makes people nervous. In small communities, fear spreads quickly, and fear demands a solution. Daniel had been seen near the area that evening. He had argued with someone days before. He didn't have a clean, airtight alibi. That was enough to make him interesting. Once he became interesting, he became convenient. There was no DNA tying him to the scene, no weapon recovered from him, no witness who saw the act itself. But the prosecution didn't need perfection. They needed a story that felt complete, and they built one. The trial moved fast, faster than Daniel expected. The prosecutor spoke confidently, smoothly. The narrative was simple: argument, anger, opportunity, murder. Jurors tend to trust confidence. Daniel testified. He tried to explain gaps, tried to explain that being near something doesn't make you responsible for it. But he was nervous, and nervous men look guilty. The jury deliberated less than a day. Guilty. Life sentence. In one afternoon, the future collapsed into a number with no end. When Daniel entered prison, he carried something dangerous: certainty. He was certain the mistake would be fixed. Appeals exist for a reason. Evidence gets reviewed. Systems correct themselves. He marked days on a folded calendar inside a paperback novel. Every X was progress toward justice. He stayed polite, avoided conflict, told a few inmates quietly, "I don't belong here." They shrugged. Everyone says that. Prison doesn't care about innocence. It cares about routine. Wake up, count, eat, work, count again, lockdown. Time flattens inside those walls. His first appeal came back denied. The language was clinical, procedurally sound, conviction upheld. He read it 3 times. That night, he didn't mark an X on the calendar. Hope didn't vanish, but it thinned. He stopped telling people he was innocent, not because he doubted himself, but because repeating it changed nothing. Instead, he requested a job in the prison library. Quiet work, order, structure, safe. In the library, Daniel began reading legal books. At first, it was just curiosity. He wanted to understand how weak evidence became strong enough for life imprisonment. Then it became something else. He learned about tunnel vision investigations, eyewitness misidentification, confirmation bias, false forensic assumptions. He realized something unsettling. His case wasn't unique. There were patterns, and he fit them. That realization was both terrifying and strangely comforting. If the system could make mistakes like this, maybe it could reverse them. By year 5, Daniel understood prison. You survive by becoming neutral. Not loud, not angry, not fragile. Invisible. He learned where to sit in the cafeteria, how to read tension before it exploded, how to avoid owing anyone anything. He tutored inmates studying for their GED. It gave him purpose without attention. He became known as steady, quiet, controlled. Inside, control is currency, but control doesn't stop time. In year 9, his mother died. He wasn't allowed to attend the funeral. That was the night the fight inside him almost ended. Not because he believed he was guilty, because he started asking himself, if no one fixes this, what then? Years earlier, almost without hope, Daniel had written to an organization that investigates wrongful convictions. He expected silence. In year 12, a letter arrived. They were willing to review his case. It wasn't freedom, it was possibility. They requested transcripts, evidence lists, interrogation records. Then they found something critical. Biological evidence from the crime scene had been preserved. When Daniel was convicted, DNA testing was limited. The sample had been labeled inconclusive, but technology had advanced. They filed a motion for modern testing. The state resisted. Reopening old cases isn't just paperwork, it's admission. It took years of hearings before the judge approved testing. By then, Daniel had been inside nearly 18 years. He had stopped counting days. He counted winters. The DNA results came back. They didn't partially exclude him. They eliminated him completely. The sample matched another man already incarcerated for a violent crime, someone who had lived near the crime scene at the time. Daniel was called into the warden's office. He expected bad news. When they told him, he didn't react immediately. 18 years of imagining freedom makes reality feel distant. The conviction was vacated. Charges dismissed. No dramatic apology, just legal language. New evidence, as if technology, not error, had been the problem. When the gates opened, there were no cameras, just a parking lot. His sister stood waiting, older, slower, still loyal. They hugged carefully. 18 years changes how your body reacts to contact. Driving away, Daniel stared at the world. Everything was louder, faster, smaller devices, bigger screens, people talking into phones without wires. He had left a world without social media. He returned to one built on it. Freedom felt less like relief, more like vertigo. Inside prison, everything is structured. Outside, everything is choice. Daniel woke at 5 a.m. automatically. He stood with his back against walls in restaurants. He avoided crowded places. Silence felt safe. Noise felt threatening. Reporters wanted interviews. Advocacy groups wanted statements. He declined most. People asked if he was angry. He thought about it. "I was," he said once, "but anger keeps you tied to the place that hurt you." What lingered wasn't rage, it was fragility. If it happened to him, with so little evidence, how many others were still inside because no one pushed hard enough? Years later, he received financial compensation, a large number. But numbers don't restore funerals, or birthdays, or ordinary Tuesdays. The most disturbing part of Daniel's story isn't the DNA. It isn't even the 18 years. It's how simple it was. A rushed investigation, a clean narrative, a nervous defendant, a jury wanting certainty. And just like that, almost 2 decades vanished. Daniel once said something in a rare interview that stayed with people. "I don't hate the system. I just know how fragile it is." Because sometimes justice doesn't fail loudly. Sometimes it fails quietly, and it takes 18 years to notice.